Day 205. Psalm 35-36. Of David. Contend with my opponents, O Lord, fight against those who fight against me. Take up your shield and buckler, arise and come to my aid. Draw the spear and javelin against my pursuers, say to my soul, I am your salvation. May those who seek my life be disgraced and put to shame, may those who plan to harm me be driven back and confounded. May they be like chaff in the wind, as the angel of the Lord drives them away. May their path be dark and slick, as the angel of the Lord pursues. For without cause they laid their net for me, without reason they dug a pit for my soul. May ruin befall them by surprise, may the net they hid ensnare them, may they fall into the hazard they created. Then my soul will rejoice in the Lord and exult in his salvation. All my bones will exclaim, who is like you, O Lord, who delivers the afflicted from the aggressor, the poor and needy from the robber? Hostile witnesses come forward, they make charges I know nothing about. They repay me evil for good, to the bereavement of my soul. Yet when they were ill, I put on sackcloth, I humbled myself with fasting, but my prayers returned unanswered. I paced about as for my friend or brother, I was bowed down with grief, like one mourning for his mother. But when I stumbled, they assembled in glee, they gathered together against me. Assailants I did not know slandered me without ceasing. Like godless jesters at a feast, they gnashed their teeth at me. How long, O Lord, will you look on? Rescue my soul from their ravages, my precious life from these lions. Then I will give you thanks in the great assembly, I will praise you among many people. Let not my enemies gloat over me without cause, nor those who hate me without reason wink in malice. For they do not speak peace, but they devise deceitful schemes against those who live quietly in the land. They gape at me and say, Aha, aha! Our eyes have seen. O Lord, you have seen it, be not silent. O Lord, be not far from me. Awake and rise to my defense, to my cause, my God and my Lord. Vindicate me by your righteousness, O Lord my God, and do not let them gloat over me. Let them not say in their hearts, Aha, just what we wanted. Let them not say, we have swallowed him up. May those who gloat in my distress be ashamed and confounded, may those who exalt themselves over me be clothed in shame and reproach. May those who favor my vindication shout for joy and gladness, may they always say, Exalted be the Lord who delights in his servants' well-being. Then my tongue will proclaim your righteousness and your praises all day long. For the choir master. A psalm of David, the servant of the Lord. An oracle is in my heart regarding the transgression of the wicked man, there is no fear of God before his eyes. For his eyes are too full of conceit to detect or hate his own sin. The words of his mouth are wicked and deceitful, he has ceased to be wise and well-doing. Even on his bed he plots wickedness, he sets himself on a path that is not good, he fails to reject evil. Your loving devotion, O Lord, reaches to the heavens, your faithfulness to the clouds. Your righteousness is like the highest mountains, your judgments are like the deepest sea. O Lord, you preserve man and beast. How precious is your loving devotion, O God, that the children of men take refuge in the shadow of your wings. They feast on the abundance of your house, and you give them drink from your river of delights. For with you is the fountain of life, in your light we see light. Extend your loving devotion to those who know you, and your righteousness to the upright in heart. Let not the foot of the proud come against me, nor the hand of the wicked drive me away. There the evildoers lie fallen, thrown down and unable to rise. Acts 25. 3 days after his arrival in the province, Festus went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and Jewish leaders presented their case against Paul. They urged Festus to grant them a concession against Paul by summoning him to Jerusalem, because they were preparing an ambush to kill him along the way. But Festus replied, Paul is being held in Caesarea, and I myself am going there soon. So if this man has done anything wrong, let some of your leaders come down with me and accuse him there. After spending no more than 8 or 10 days with them, Festus went down to Caesarea. The next day he sat on the judgment seat and ordered that Paul be brought in. When Paul arrived, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem stood around him, bringing many serious charges that they could not prove. Then Paul made his defense, I have committed no offense against the law of the Jews or against the temple or against Caesar. But Festus, wishing to do the Jews a favor, said to Paul, Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem to stand trial before me on these charges? Paul replied, I am standing before the judgment seat of Caesar, where I ought to be tried. I have done nothing wrong to the Jews, as you yourself know very well. If, however, I am guilty of anything worthy of death, I do not refuse to die. But if there is no truth to their accusations against me, no one has the right to hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar. Then Festus conferred with his council and replied, You have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you will go. After several days had passed, King Agrippa and Bernice came down to Caesarea to pay their respects to Festus. Since they were staying several days, Festus laid out Paul's case before the king. There is a certain man whom Felix left in prison. While I was in Jerusalem, the chief priests and elders of the Jews presented their case and requested a judgment against him. I told them that it is not the Roman custom to hand a man over before he has had an opportunity to face his accusers and defend himself against their charges. So when they came here with me, I did not delay. The next day I sat on the judgment seat and ordered that the man be brought in. But when his accusers rose to speak, they did not charge him with any of the crimes I had expected. They only had some contentions with him regarding their own religion and a certain Jesus who had died, but whom Paul affirmed to be alive. Since I was at a loss as to how to investigate these matters, I asked if he was willing to go to Jerusalem and be tried there on these charges. But when Paul appealed to be held over for the decision of the emperor, I ordered that he be held until I could send him to Caesar. Then Agrippa said to Festus, I would like to hear this man myself. Tomorrow you will hear him, Festus declared. The next day Agrippa and Bernice came with great pomp and entered the auditorium, along with the commanders and leading men of the city. And Festus ordered that Paul be brought in. Then Festus said, King Agrippa and all who are present with us, you see this man. The whole Jewish community has petitioned me about him, both here and in Jerusalem, crying out that he ought not to live any longer. But I found he had done nothing worthy of death, and since he has now appealed to the emperor, I decided to send him. I have nothing definite to write to our sovereign one about him. Therefore I have brought him before all of you, and especially before you, King Agrippa, so that after this inquiry I may have something to write. For it seems unreasonable to me to send on a prisoner without specifying the charges against him.